think I heard you. How you guys doing? I still didn't hear you. How you guys doing? I want to start out with a story here. The year is 1852. Oakland, California. There is an election for a state assembly seat. There is so much fraud involved in the election of this seat that the legislature ends up kicking the person who won out of office. Why? Because he had stuffed the ballot box with hundreds and hundreds of votes. So there was a special election. Now this particular individual was the owner of the ferry between Oakland and San Francisco. And so what did he do during the special election? He put all of his friends in San Francisco on the ferry, and they came across to Oakland and they voted in the special election. Not once, not twice, not 3 times. They voted 7 different times for this guy during the day so that he might win. And after he won the second time, he actually passed a law that made Contra Costa and Alameda 2 counties instead of 1. Elections have consequences. As Secretary of State, one of the chief roles that you have is that you have to clean up the voter rolls of those who have passed away, those who have moved, and those who are unauthorized to vote. Right now, in the state of California, we have 101% voter registration. Let me say that again. We have 101% voter registration. How can you have more people registered to vote than are eligible to vote? It is because we have people who are dead, people who have moved, and people who are not authorized to vote on our voting rolls. The state of California is 101%. I heard somebody in the audience say, well, LA has 144%. San Diego, 130-something%. San Francisco, 120%. So if you do not live in one of those counties, and you have a registered voter who's doing their job of keeping the voter rolls clean, that means that your vote is being diluted by other counties. Now wait a second. Let's stop and think. Just because you're registered to vote doesn't mean that you actually vote, right? But CBS, not necessarily a huge conservative media outlet, recently did a study of LA County elections, and they found 30 people who have been dead for over 20 years who have voted in every single election. If you do not clean the voter rolls of those who have died and passed away, there are those who are not very honest who will use their power and influence to cast ballots for those who they know are not going to vote. Because they want to dilute your vote, they want to make sure special interest gets elected in these close races. So let's stop and think about it for a second. If the Secretary of State simply cleaned the voter rolls by those who have died, based upon death records, you would not have the situation of a family that I met whose aunt had died. And every year they went into the Register of Voters office with a copy of the death certificate and said, my aunt has died. You need to remove her from the voter rolls. And the Register of Voters says, she votes every year. We can't remove her. That's wrong. That is wrong. We are Americans. We live in a republic. In a republic, it is our duty as citizens to tell our government what we want them to do, not for special interests to dilute our vote and tell us how they are going to control our lives. It starts in the elections. We have to have clean elections. We need to have fair and free elections. Now, this is not going to be an easy fight, but I want to tell you a battle that we just had this week, because I know there are several people in here who are aware of this. I am a fighter, and I'm wanting to fight for you. I want you this November to send me here to Sacramento to clean up the voter rolls. But you need to know that you have somebody who is already a fighter, somebody who is already going to go out there and represent your interests. As was mentioned, I am an attorney. About 5 months ago, the Berkeley College Republican president, a guy named Troy Warden, was given a civil harassment restraining order by Yvette Falarka. She is a national organizer for an organization called By Any Means Necessary. She is a part of the organization, part of the Antifa movement. She filed a civil harassment restraining order to try to silence his First Amendment rights to speak on campus. Because as Berkeley College Republican, if he wanted to be out there promoting the Berkeley College Republican events, and she was on campus, protesting his events, he couldn't be within 100 yards of her, so she could literally shut him down, his speech on campus. So what did we do? We went into court and fought it. And we won.
Yeah!
And then we filed a motion for attorney fees. And this Thursday, Yvette Falarka, national organizer for By Any Means Necessary, was ordered by the court to pay the attorney fees of Troy Warden. I went to bat to fight for Troy Warden because his First Amendment rights were important. First Amendment rights is a constitutional right. And everyone here understands that it is a privilege, it is a responsibility, but it is a duty to vote as Americans in our republic.
Yes.
And you need to have the surety that there is somebody in this building who is looking out to make sure that those who want to use power for their special interest cannot do so by corrupting the power of your vote. So I'm going to ask each and every one of you to make sure that you tell your friends and you tell your family that they need to get out and vote for Mark Meuser for Secretary of State.
Go Mark!
That's www.markmeuser.com. It's markmeuser.com. I'm running for Secretary of State, and I want to represent you in this building next November. Thank you very much.
He's effective. Good job!
He is the only Republican we have running for Secretary of State. Okay, I gotta come up.